All right, everybody, welcome to Beyond the Letter. We've been rolling, by the way. So, what's
nice,
up, guys?
nice. Thank goodness.
On this podcast, everything you say and do will be used against you.
Right.
Just know, dog.
Yeah. We even had cameras going out. We didn't go into the restroom with you, but it was leading up into the restroom.
It's like, so oh, no.
We caught every little moment in between, you know?
Cool.
Shout out everybody to Beyond the Letter. Thanks for joining us. Today's a great episode because they're new friends of mine that I recently met at a retreat center, but they're friends of Will. Will was like, hey, man, let's bring a couple of my buddies on.
Let's do it.
And I was like, yeah, man, I met them at this leadership retreat we recently did.
Yes.
Will couldn't join. His wife didn't let him out the house. No,
yes, I know so much FOMO this man had.
Yeah.
I had a lot of FOMO on that trip, dog.
Yeah.
Because it was like all your boys, your church
homies.
world boys, your boys from the industry, you know.
You were at
I was in Hawaii,
Dude,
bro.
yeah, that's
It's
one
okay.
way
You're
to
in a good
suffer.
place. Yeah, you're in a good place.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So today's dope because we got two Will's friends, some of my new friends, Ben and Kevin in the house, and a little bit of, now correct me guys if I say something wrong regarding your history or what you do, but when it comes to
this is my
We're
favorite.
gonna fact check.
yeah.
Let's go.
But when it comes to Ben was part of the original team of the Jabberwockies, right? And so were you were, and I'll get into that in a moment, but you were part of the team that won the first ever America's Got Talent. Is that correct?
America's Best Dance Crew.
America's Best Dance Crew.
But we were on America's Got Talent, and then we got booted off.
No, you got booted off.
Yeah, so we
But then you guys get a whole show in Las Vegas.
I know, so
I mean,
just-
what?
That just
That's
wasn't. You know what's
crazy.
funny about that? So we got on. It was season 2, I believe, of America's Got Talent. We made it past the prelims. We made it to the Vegas round where you gotta like do a. You know, we're at Planet Hollywood, and then we
Yeah.
have to perform, and then we lost. I'm not hating, but we lost to an act. The act
Isn't existent anymore?
the name was Boy Shakira.
Oh.
We lost to Boy Shakira.
Bro.
Man,
And
what a
so-
jab.
Wait a minute. That was a dance act, too? You lost the girl? Come on.
He was a, I don't know, hey, Boy
Yeah.
Shakira was a musical act.
Yeah.
And we lost to Boy Shakira. And then a year later, and the winner of America's Got Talent gets a Vegas show.
Right.
That's like the prize, right?
yeah.
You get like $1 million or something like that, and then a Vegas show. So then we lost that. And then we did America's Best Dance Crew a year later.
And that was the first season ever.
That was season 1.
'Kay.
And that eventually landed us a Vegas show.
Come on,
Which is
bro.
why-
Let's get it.
But what
We
was
got
the
it to
prize of
Vegas.
that one?
100K.
Okay.
But split,
and I got
split amongst 6
I know.
dudes.
Yeah. You got 25 cents each.
After taxes.
Hey, y'all just celebrated 20 years of Jabberwockies, right?
did.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Bro,
bro.
congratulate. That's incredible. I have more questions on
Yeah,
that vein
for
in a
sure.
second after we do introductions. But, and now you're part of Kinja's.
Kinja's, yes.
And so that's another dance crew. But, you know, almost, I can't even say arguably. I think inarguably, Jabberwocky is probably the most famous dance crew in history.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a household name, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, which is
It's funny
crazy.
because when I meet people and so what do you do? Like, I'm a professional dancer. Like, oh, what do you like, a Jabberwocky?
Yeah.
You probably don't know if you're joking or not.
It's always that. It's like, oh, what
It's
do you
because
like,
the
a
masks,
Jabberwocky?
dog. You had those masks, so y'all couldn't get
Yeah,
that.
I got so many questions for that in a moment, for sure.
all good.
And then I want to go deeper, and then I want to go deep. And if I'm looking at my phone every once in a while, I got a surprise for you guys. Okay, so
Oh,
I'm just waiting
sick.
for it to like get a little
Door,
ding on my
number one.
phone.
Behind the curtain.
We have fun on this podcast.
Nice.
And then we got Kevin in the house. And here's how I'm going to put it, because I was in a room with you where you were like, I don't even know how to say.
He's hard to
what I
describe,
do,
bro.
right?
It's confusing, brother. Right
So
now.
here's what I think. It's approaching. It's almost here. So let me see.
Man.
Let me get. Yeah. Let me.
I'm like nervous.
Well, I know what's
and
coming,
excited.
man. Like, what's happening right now?
Just try and call them and see if they pick up.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to Kev, what you do is you are a restaurant pop-up tastemaker. So
That's
here's what
pretty
I would
good.
say.
Pretty
You're
accurate.
a tastemaker when it
pretty good.
comes to the food industry. You create unique, viral, very tactical experiences with brands, companies, influencers.
Oh, I like that.
You know,
Tactical. That's good.
you help them take their
Tactical.
brand and put it in food form. And so you do
Yeah.
pop-ups, you do regular restaurants.
Damn, my dog,
Yeah,
you did your
hey,
research
wow.
too, G.
Hey,
I used to own a
okay.
marketing company, by
Oh,
the
no,
way.
no. It's the glasses, bro. These
I know,
glasses
I
have
know.
superpowers,
He's like,
bro.
I'm ready. I'm ready
Hey,
for
I
camp
was about
today.
to say, man, those frames are crazy, bro.
Yeah, here we go.
Make me sound
Yeah.
smarter.
Yeah.
So here's some notable things. If anybody is from California and you, one of the viral things was a Sonic the Hedgehog pop-up. That was in
Yeah.
Anaheim at first, went to San Diego, coming back to Orange County.
Yeah,
right?
so it actually started in San Diego and is
Okay.
now in Chino Hills. It's way
What?
close to this.
Is it open now?
Yes.
Oh,
It'll
then we're
be
going.
like, so this is like, to whoever listens to this, listen to IE, it's not that far. There you go. It's
Yeah,
at the shops.
A lot of people from the IE listen to the show.
Yeah.
So it's in the shops.
It's in the
over off Chino
shops.
Hills. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it'll
okay.
be there till March, so make it while it's still there. That's
So
perfect,
guys,
yeah.
they have a Sonic the Hedgehog experience where you know you get Sonic's chili cheese dogs
Yeah.
and you know chili cheese fries and stuff like that. I tried telling my nephew that because my nephew knew about it.
Yeah.
My brother's oldest
Nice,
son.
yeah.
I'm like, hey man, I know the guy who created it, and he's like, yeah, I've seen it online, and I'm like, yeah, but I know the guy who created it, and he's like 8 or 9, so and he's like. Yeah, so what? I've seen it. You know, and
I
I'm
know,
like,
he doesn't like
you
get
don't
what you're
you
saying.
don't understand
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
That's so funny.
And then recently, which to me was very impressive and cool, because I've been going to Complex Con since it opened. This was the only year I didn't get to go to it, but you helped curate the food experience at Complex Con.
Yeah, so our team, we got the whole, with Andy Wynn and the whole squad, we curated with First We Feast, shout out.
Yep.
And we got this whole side of it. And that was just all like the homies, like all the friends brands, all side by side. And we all just kind of curated that. We brought all the energy, the marketing to that little area. So that was a really
what's up.
cool experience. And yeah, shout out Complex Con. Thank you. We love everybody there. And everybody was super cool. That was a real fun experience. Ben came to help, which was dope, and that was
I work
really
for
fun.
Sonic, man.
Yeah, man, that was cool, man. And
Dude,
so
that's so dope.
we brought all the brands out. It was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. And so, is the company represent? Is it Breaking Bread Co. or is that just like a subsidiary?
No, so the break bread part is actually which we'll get into later is
Yeah.
the Bible study.
Got it. Okay.
So that's
Cool.
what the email is. But
Such a dope name for a
yeah,
Bible study, bro. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
When I come across cool church names and stuff, I'm always like, damn, this is
Yes.
beloved
but-
church is super
Yeah,
dope.
exactly.
Like,
Yours is
Yeah.
historical,
Yeah.
dog, no?
Yeah, it is.
LFC is
my-
the OG.
Yeah, 30 years, bro.
It is.
Dang.
Yeah, yeah. No, and then the company's name is Secret Sauce Society.
Oh, shoot.
All these dope names, dog. We gotta get more creatives on the board, bro.
Yeah.
Secret
Yeah, we
sauce.
just
What's
wanted
that
to-
again? Secret sauce.
It's
You got
Secret
merch
Sauce
for that?
Society.
Secret
So we
Sauce
purposely, because it's Secret Sauce Society, like we
The clothing's a secret.
You have to know us to even work with us. So we don't advertise at all, like
Dang.
at all. So it's
Yeah.
all
That's the company name.
yes.
So that's who's doing like
Secrets.
the Complex
the
Con
brands,
experience and the
pop-ups,
Sonic
things like
stuff.
that. Yeah,
Secret
all the
Sauce Society.
pop-ups. Yeah, so we just keep it all relational there. So it's all behind the scenes, and that's kind of how we work with people. Yeah.
So do you guys have merch for that?
Well, we make merch for every pop-up. So,
Okay, but not for the actual
yes.
society.
So when you
Okay.
go to Sonic Speed Cafe, all the merch is exclusive.
Dope.
So I'm gonna tell you what's crazy is every time we do these things, people even take the packaging and put it online. So right now, the Sonic Speed Cafe packaging, like literally like the packaging,
Yeah,
you get, like
like
the hot
you-
dog,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a tray that you eat the hot dog
Yeah.
on. They're selling the packaging set for like $100 on eBay.
Dang.
Dang, bro, I should have just sitting right in front. I should have just been-
Hey, you threw it away, didn't you?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
threw that thing in the trash.
Yeah,
after
no,
that.
that's the thing. Everybody does. Everybody does because we don't think about it because it's in front of us. But there's people that can't make it.
Oh, that's
so they'll put it up on
crazy.
eBay and it's actually selling, which is like, yeah, that's
That's
like a whole other
wild,
thing.
man.
But yeah.
Dang, that's dope.
Yeah, you guys stacks of hundreds in front of
I
you.
know, man. Not thinking,
When I would go to Complex Con, like you know, because they started tailoring off of all the exclusive stuff. Most of the brands started doing like stuff their own way, but early on it would be like they would do tons of one of ones over at Complex Con, and I would just. I'd buy so much stuff and just sell it to Japan
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
some stuff to
Yeah,
Korea,
that's
but
real.
mostly to
Yeah.
Japan. I mean, you could make a killing just
Yeah.
selling.
So they
American
still
stuff
do
over to
exclusives at Complex. It's really fun still to go get their like exclusive just for Complex drops, things like that.
Yeah.
So we had an exclusive Sonic tee that we did a collab with Hypeland, which is like an up and coming streetwear brand.
Yeah.
So that's what's fun also is that there's these marketplaces sometimes like Complex that you get to collaborate. So each of our brands, like the taco brand, the burger brand, everything had a collab. So the burger brand, Trill Burgers, we had a collab with Astro Boy. We did Josh Pease had he's another designer. He did something with the tacos. We had the little onagiris, which is like rice balls. It was a collab with like We Are Uprisers, like which is like a Asian AAPI like streetwear brand. So like it was able to create these like really cool cultural like moments where you get to get something exclusive. So
that's cool.
Watch out for those shirts online, guys. They're somewhere.
you know, I'll say something that caught my I've known Kevin for a couple. We met during COVID. We met on Clubhouse, which is hilarious. Which is that talking.
Everybody was on Clubhouse.
Everybody
was on
for like 12 months.
Right. We're all so bored, guys.
We're all just locked up during quarantine.
I get to be in a room with a celebrity. Oh my God.
That was crazy.
That was fun.
Dope.
And I've known his partner Andy for many years through when he was doing streetwear, because Andy had a brand called I Am King. And so I've known Andy for many years through that. And then, you know, he went off into food and beverage. He did After's Ice Cream and all that. And then, so I knew them separately.
After's is so dope.
Yeah, it's dope. I knew them separately, and then I found out somehow that they were working together. I'm like, yo, how do you guys know each other? And then the first major project that you guys did that popped off was Bored and Hungry. So back in 2021 was kind of like when NFTs were becoming a thing, right? Yeah. And then the Bored Ape Yacht Club was just like a blue chip NFT. They had this crazy idea of purchasing one. And then that was already crazy.
Oh, did you guys brand it? Was that the restaurant experience? Was that you?
Yeah, that was us. Yeah.
Oh shoot!
So you heard about it?
This guy right here, bro.
Because it was.
I'm so into the streetwear scene, bro. Where's Heron? Is Heron around? Right now. We got our youth pastor like lives and breathes streetwear.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And then they did the pop up, and then it went super viral. Like it was like on the news. It was on KTLA news. I'm like, man, these guys are going crazy right now.
That was a very big, crazy moment.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, that was a very big. And you know, a lot of that story later. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna get into. I have no idea. I don't know.
There's no plan.
We don't plan anything. There's no plan.
No, it's just my curiosity.
Holy Spirit leads.
That's all it is.
Yeah. No, because I love all that. Because like I love because like the big thing today is because all that staging was set up so we could have a louder voice for what we do today.
Wow. For real. But speaking of being loud, the reason why I felt like that was so effective was that it was so disruptive. There was nothing ever before like that. I mean, NFTs as a digital asset that you now own the IP of a thing, and then now you could turn that into a real world whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they said, let's make a restaurant. And then it was just like, I didn't know you could do that. And then people, that's why it just caught the attention of everybody. And it's just like this, whoa, it was disruptive in the best way. Yeah. It was dope.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. And I think what's cool is like in the case of what's going on with this podcast now, what it's kind of becoming is like bringing friends on is like the streetwear scene and stuff is like really good at collabs. Like that's one thing I've noticed. Like nobody's like, and there are probably some people that exist, but it's like this idea of being territorial is kind of more of like, hey, this is a culture, and the more we can actually shake hands, the more we could break bread. Like the more that for them, their scene and the business can be, exposed and stuff like that. And so in the sense of kind of like with Beyond the Letters, having Will and so many of our friends on regularly in the church world space, like you don't have too many things in the church world where there's a lot of cross collaboration. Like maybe you'll bring in a guest speaker, but like that's about it. And there's not really a cross collab of, expanding each other's territories to like help people, reach people, share the gospel. And so in the sense of like what you guys are sharing, but even the sense of like what's happening here with Will on and Beloved Church and ALFC and having what you guys are involved in to talk about it, like, and then have all the people who watch online, watch us, listen to us, able to just kind of like dig in, and then so many people are going to relate and be like, man, I know about that, I know about that, and it just, you know, it helps further people, not only their relationship with God, but also their awareness of kind of what's going on in the world around us.
I think one of I love what you said, because I always thought about that, especially recently, because I have so many pastor friends. Like, I don't know why, but I've like collected them. Like, it's like the strangest group of a collective
like,
people. I know, and everyone's so different, and like the culture's so different in their churches. But like going back to that retreat where we met each other. I've never been to anything like that, like in my life, because, you know, I'm not a pastor. But like by being there, I remember like leaving with so many different revelations in my mind. But besides like everything that was for me, I also thought, man, it would be really cool for more pastors to have places like this, like even like here, where they come, they hang out, and it's like there's a place, like a platform to connect and then share those thoughts, right? Yeah. Like, I always wondered, like, why isn't there more of that? Because there's so many, I know so many pastors that are friends, but they like meet up like once a year.
Yeah.
And I get it. Y'all are busy. Like, I understand that. Like, there's thousands of people that need you. Like, I get that. Hundreds, right? And I get that, but I wish, like, and I was always thinking that. I was like, man, you guys should just help each other. The resources, whatever it is.
Do stuff together.
Yeah, just do stuff together, you know? And so I love that you said it. I just wanted to double click. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
More of that.
Well, hey, before we jump more into the conversation, because I want people to know who listen, you guys have your own podcast.
Yes.
And so, you know, Ben and Kevin lead this podcast, and it's kind of surrounded around food is kind of a central figure of it.
Yes.
So each time you kind of guys feature like a food item, and then you kind of just have conversation with people that you have on, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Good Service. Kevin's hoodie right there, you know.
Good Service.
Little merch plug, but we just got merch that just dropped, so we're
what?
Yes,
Okay.
These hoodies are so soft.
We're gonna have to get some hoodies then.
But yeah, Good Service. It was literally something that was birthed this year. Kevin and I had been just entertaining. Well, this actually started with our conversation with our homie Daniel. Shout out Daniel. He's the one who kind of just believed in us, and he's like, yo, y'all should do some sort of podcast together. And we're like, okay.
It actually, we were in a meeting, and we're just talking so openly about our faith, and we do that a lot with one of our friends. And while we were talking, I think it's just like, you guys should just do a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you guys doing one?
Yeah.
And the whole premise was that we're not pastors. We're just people living our lives in faith that love Jesus, right?
Come on, bro.
And we just wanted to have a platform where, so for me and him, we had different reasons why we wanted to do it, so I'll let Ben explain why he wanted to do it. But for me, I have this loud voice in the secular world, right? In the regular world, people know me because of so many different things. Like, I'm just a business person, so everybody knows me. But I've always wanted to use my following, the people that love me. They've always kind of known that God's in my life, but only in passing conversation. So selfishly, I just wanted to do something where I could put the content into my feed.
Yeah.
So ever since we started it, it's actually, so I counted the weeks. Ever since we blasted it out, it's only been 5 months.
Oh, wow.
So it's been 5 months.
5 months.
And every time we post anything, I'll just collab post it onto my regular feed because I want to saturate my Instagram with the word or with things that people just love in God on. You know what I mean? And I just been doing that. And for me, it's just been so like, it's been a gift.
Yeah.
Where I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
And now people go, yo, bro, like you like really into God. I'm like, I am.
You about that faith.
Yeah.
Come on, dog.
Yeah,
Secret sauce, baby.
Double meaning there. That is the secret sauce.
And then I want to hear Bryn's reason. Before we do, in honor of your guys' podcast, I got a local, since you're in the Inland Empire, you're in the IE 909, I got a local Michoacana spot to come and drop off some delicacies for us, okay? So we're going to throw it on the table. We got Good Service and Beyond the Letter collab. Okay. So
First time having food on this
Here's
podcast, dog.
Really?
It's the first time
We
we've had
bringing the
food.
Asian culture here, dog.
I am
Thanks,
so
Chels.
happy right
Yo,
now.
we got the Mexican
we got
food.
the
Bro, look at
we got
this.
the mango nata,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
With
How do we
the,
zoom
with
in
the,
on
with
this
the
food?
strips. I'll we'll see.
Oh
okay.
my
So if you're watching on
goodness.
YouTube, you may be listening, but
Wow.
we got the mango nata with a bunch of like cucumber at the bottom, chamoy,
God.
and then the
God.
little straws. Then I got here. It's called It's a frozen strawberry.
Oh
I think
my
this is the
God.
one,
Bro,
Like
that's the one.
Banana,
Wow.
coconut,
Yeah, that's-
strawberries, grapes.
This looks
I'ma go ham
insane
melon.
right now.
All right,
I'm
so
falling asleep as we're doing this.
Man, we got the venti coffee.
Hey, I need that coffee right now, dude.
all right, it
Crazy.
gets a little heavier. There's some people listening to us right now. Their mouth
The
is
the
watering.
breathing heavy has started.
This is a hot Cheeto esquite corn, okay?
Oh my gosh.
With hot
With
Cheetos.
extra Cheetos. With the extra Cheetos.
Wow.
With the extra
Oh
hot
my
Cheetos.
goodness.
And then we got
Oh, here we go.
churros.
Churros.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yup.
So,
Yup.
That's my Spanish side right
Hey,
there.
man, aren't you half Mexican, dog?
Wow.
Churro.
Churro.
Double R.
Churro.
And
Wow.
then traditional esquite, okay?
Wow.
So,
Go.
here we go.
Man.
This is
You know, I'm actually
Yeah,
like
yeah,
really
yeah.
touched that you did this.
I know.
yeah, for
Adam
real.
knows what's
So
up,
thoughtful.
bro.
Dude, seriously, man, this is great.
imagine me as a husband. I'm very thoughtful. You know?
Yes. Wifey is very lucky.
Shout out to Beyond I Do. Shout out to Ashley.
Oh
Bless.
man.
Oh yeah, we can move. Let me get okay. So, how do you guys normally do this? Tell me.
So this is so
Here we go.
Exactly like you were doing. We highlight the food. We talk about the spot like you just did.
Yeah.
We talk about what's on here, and then Ben started this thing. Go
Well,
ahead, Ben.
man.
So
Well, hold
any
up.
locals? It's
You know what we got to do, bro.
I'm gonna be very unprofessional.
This is a
right now.
collaboration
Yeah,
podcast
yeah,
episode,
I know.
dog. Oh, look.
Yeah, we gotta do this.
Okay, what's up?
Here we go.
What
He
up?
brought out the phone now.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
Beyond the Letter, Good Service collab. And
Come
look
on,
at
Yeah,
what
let's
these
go.
guys
Let's
did,
go.
man.
Let's go.
Wow. What's the place called?
Wow.
The spot is called, they're all called La Michoacana. So I got to
Yeah.
give this one's in
Prop-
Ontario.
There you go. Proper shout out.
There it is.
This one is in Ontario off of, the address is, actually, no, it's in Pomona. 1648 Indian Hill Boulevard
you
in
go.
Pomona, California. La Michoacana 100% Tradicional.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Shout out.
In
shout
Pomona,
out.
P-Town.
Thank
Shout
you.
out.
Thank
Yeah,
you
we
for the
out here,
food.
we out here.
Yeah, and then we do. Ben, why don't you kick us off on what we usually
Yeah,
do then?
so this is actually something that we just kind of were playing around with. 'Cause, we also don't like really prepare a conversational topic for
Just
the
show up,
podcast.
right?
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
show up. And we pray before every episode. We're
Yeah.
like, all right, Holy Spirit, like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
We're gonna break bread, and we're just gonna like see what you give us. And we do before we get into the food, we have what we call a first bite reflection, and it's just a prompt. You've
Been on theirs before.
Hey, the
so you know
last,
what's
the,
going
the
on.
last
I don't.
episode podcast I did was with them, so this
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
back to back
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
dog.
You're in a
So,
doozy right now, Will.
It's just a question or a thought that and I pray about it. I'm like, Lord, what do you want us to ask ourselves today? And so we do a first bite reflection.
Yeah.
And then
Ben,
we,
take like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
Close your
okay.
eyes. What's that question that God's putting on your heart? Let's do it for real, man. Let's do it
Do
for
it.
real.
Well,
Yeah,
this
you
is
know?
the collab. This is the.
Here we go.
Man, okay,
It's
yeah.
the good service moment
this
right
just
now.
came to me right now.
Look at that.
What is something that you are looking forward to in the near future?
Ooh.
Ooh, it's a new year coming up too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And with
Coming
that, we grab something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So you
We
grab
do a
something?
little air dab.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right.
Those
With the
forks?
mango,
Well, it
'cause
looks
this
good.
looks
Yeah, the
crazy,
mango
dog.
looks
Oh, yeah,
slapping.
Get some mango forks over
I'm
on
gonna
it.
do one of these
you,
strawberries with the coconut and the cream. It's the frozen strawberry coconut cream.
The corn, dog.
We ought to have. It was like a team thing, so I'm gonna need someone on the team to come grab
Yeah,
something.
y'all
So
wanna
Alizé and Chelsea,
participate?
you gotta grab a bite of something. We got
The first
whoever we got in here.
Sorry for the mess we're creating
group
too.
podcast. We'll get some
Family meal,
napkins after.
Oh man.
This is
So-
great.
Oh my
Hey,
god.
Danny, where you
Free
at,
to-
dog? Danny,
Danny,
come
you
on,
gotta
bro.
come in.
You
You gotta
drove
come
all the
in.
way here.
Come on, come on, come on.
Come on, Danny, come on, bro.
Let's go.
So
Dude, this looks so ridiculous.
I gotta read.
I have
Okay,
like
then you dap it.
raisins.
Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, we do
You
an
got
air
ra-
dab,
okay,
air
air
dab,
dab.
air
There we
dab,
go.
air dab.
All right.
There you go. And then we just take that first
I love
bite.
it.
Bite. Yep.
Beautiful.
Whoa.
Shakabaraba.
Will over
That'll
here
do
speaking
something to
in
you.
tongues.
The strawberries is crazy.
Wow, that's really good.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Here's
God.
that-
I
here's
love
napkins.
thank you.
Man.
The chili, is it the chamoy?
Man, that's like breakfast and dessert
Yeah.
at the same
It's
time. That's
everything,
delicious. I love that.
You gotta go. I'm gonna
Wow.
Oh my God.
So as we're
hit the
having,
esquite one time.
oh man,
Go.
There we go.
as we're having this this first bite, if anybody going over that question, if there's a burning desire, they just go first. That's how it works.
What are we most looking forward to, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's something
Near
you're
future. In the
near
looking
future.
forward
Near
to in
future.
the near future?
I'm talking days,
Oh, days? Weeks?
weeks, something close, something
You know,
close.
I'll share. I mean, Adam knows some of my story. We even talked about it last time I was on. Like the last 4 years of my life, since like 2020, I've tried to live a pretty like quiet, like slow-paced life. And I gotta be careful how I say this because you be talking about the future, and then you get to the future, you're like, now it's off. But I'm looking forward to seeing God move again.
Wow,
Because
wow,
I'm like sensing compound interest in the spirit realm,
Whoa.
and like because the last few years I was just really I went through my stuff. I even talked about it on y'all's pod,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
this upcoming year, I'm sensing this like inner compound spiritual interest where God is saying, I don't know why I'm thinking about Bishop Jakes. Bishop Jakes used to always say, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. He put his hand behind his arm, get ready, get ready, get ready. That's weird. When you said that question, I'm sensing God saying to me like, son, like get ready.
wow.
And it's going to be different this time because it wasn't you. It's not your doing, but just
Amen.
get ready. So I'm looking forward. It's not like a thing, but I'm just sensing like, okay, God, like I'm excited. Like
Yeah.
I'm sensing stuff. So that's what
Dope.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dope. Wow. That's real dope.
That's cool. I think I'll go. I probably have a laundry list of stuff, but I think the
Yeah.
nearest one is one we were working on right now, and we're gonna hopefully do kind of better than ever. For the past probably 30 years, our church has done an annual 21-day fast at the beginning of the year.
Wow.
So we're just a couple weeks away from that.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's 21 days. Right now, we're working on finalizing to get on YouVersion to have like our church be able to go on
Dope.
a YouVersion plan.
Yeah.
That's the Bible app that almost everyone in
That's
America
the one I
has
rock
on their
every
phone.
day.
So we're gonna have a YouVersion fast app, and so we
Sick.
really intentionally we're trying to make that like we want more people to consecrate themselves in the new year and spend 21 days with the Lord. So
Yeah.
that one I'm really excited about because probably by next week, like we'll really start drilling and hard, encouraging people to be part of it, and separate yourself. Say no to certain things at the top of the year, spend 21 days in prayer and reflection. And I just know for me, like when people who are even newer to their faith, like when they just kind of separate themselves, like whether they turn off social media or, cut certain foods out of their life and just spend at least 15 minutes every day with the Lord. 'Cause the average person doesn't do that at all. And people see so much fruit from their life. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to really like take our church through that. And January would be like the first month that I'm actually like our senior lead pastor because I've been in this 6-7 year transition with my
Wow.
pop.
Baby.
So
Come on, man.
it'd be fun. There's a lot of stuff culminating in that
on.
moment. So, I'm excited for that.
Come on,
you know?
man. And
Yeah.
and you're starting it off the right way with the 21-day fast.
I know,
man.
right?
That's why you got this food, dog.
He's prepping for it.
This is my goodbye.
I was gonna tell him it's hard posture. Come on, man. I was trying to have
a serious moment.
Yeah, I was trying to have a serious moment. Being like, oh, how holy! Come on, man.
He brought beyond the letter to that moment. Beyond the letter is
Adam's
pure
taking this
humor.
to go. That's what I'm going to his
I'm
house.
giving this away to everybody.
Man.
Oh
That's
man.
good.
Oh,
That's
that
real
no,
good.
that's so good. That's so
love
good,
it. I
man.
love it.
Man.
Man, I'll go. I think in the last year, 2023, it's been an entire year of undoing of what I've been used to. And what I mean by that, we touched upon, my dance career and things that I've been doing for the last 20 plus years of my life.
Yeah.
And anytime you are used to doing something, you just think that's just the way that life is, right? You just do the thing that you're used to doing, and you don't really think of like, what if I don't do this anymore? What would I do, right? And so I think this year has been a very big year of coming to terms with like, yo, that season, at least of how you've been used to it, is done. And you need to step out of that and into the new calling. And so my entire year has been very just back and forth with like, what is that calling? And then even if I know or I think I know what the calling is, practically speaking, what do I actually do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I do with my time? What do I do with like my efforts? And so it's been a whole year of wrestling with it. And the interesting thing, and Kevin and I were just talking about this even yesterday, right? Because, you know, we've been doing the pod now for 5 months. And it's great to like have that there because it's documented of what are we talking about every episode.
Man.
And it's, to me, I'm like kind of talking about the same thing. So it's documenting the time of like, yo, just in the past 5 months, you've been saying kind of the same thing. But I'm also realizing that very recently, I'm like, I think I know practically how to move into it. And speaking of, you know, Young Guns, the retreat, like that blessed us so much, bro.
Shout out
like,
to Brad.
Yeah.
Shout out
yeah,
to
shout out
Brad
Brad Lomnick, man. You know, when
H3 podcast, leadership
that's
podcast
what's
too.
up.
He's
Oh,
got a dope one.
I gotta
Oh,
get
wow.
on
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Okay, well,
Oh, yeah.
But you know, when Kevin, Vincent, and I we went to it, we went into it I went in just no expectations. Like, hey, you guys should come. This is a dope gathering of these dope dudes. That's just all I said.
Yep.
And then little did
Gave
we
me
know,
nothing.
we were supposed to receive so much from that experience, and we did. And for me, one of the things that we did one of the nights was when Brad, he just asked the room, like, who needs breakthrough? And my hand immediately flew up because I'm like, I do, you know? And then Pastor Julian of Oasis Church, he came
Who's
through.
like, I mean, he's been on the podcast
He
before,
was,
but
he was sitting right here.
I mean,
nice,
the
nice,
dude,
nice,
the
nice.
dude's
Shout out
so
Julian.
prophetic.
Yeah.
It's insane. It just,
Wow.
Without hesitation, he comes up to me. He just stands right in front of me, and he's like, bro, you don't need to keep asking God for something that He's already given you.
Shit.
And then I didn't know what that meant,
Yeah.
but I was like, whoa.
By the way, he didn't even say it this kindly. He said it like
Oh,
he
no,
said
Julian's
it.
gonna punch you
He
in your
stand-
gut.
like,
He
he
went for the
stood
jugular.
on that.
Yeah, and
like
then
I was
so
like, whoa.
I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it was for me. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay. And then he put his hand on my chest and he just started praying over me. And then just like minutes after that, you know, we finished our session, and then the homie Cruz Ramirez, shout out Cruz, he came up to me
Abundant Church.
and
Man, I love Cruz.
and he asked me, he's like, so Ben, what's the holdup? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, what's holding you back? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. And, you know, I shared with the group coming into that event that my pain point was this sort of transition of, I think God's calling me into a place where He wants me to use my voice to tell His story. And so, you know, that could be done through podcasts, that could be done through just personal, just one-on-one, just hangouts.
Yeah.
To like, I just in this last year have had these opportunities to speak at these events. And mind you, I've never done anything like this before. I'm used to dancing on stages, not speaking on them.
Yeah.
And
A lot different.
very
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Very different.
I'm trying to imagine if you and I try to dance instead of speak. the respect,
Not
the
money in
respect
the
goes
world.
up.
Yeah,
be the
that's what
part
I'm
two.
saying. Like, I was like,
Yeah, that's
I was like,
respect.
it's very
No, no.
impressive. You can do both at the same time. That's,
So, you know, I was just like, man, if I'm supposed to do that, like you know, it's imposter syndrome.
Yep.
When you're not
Yeah,
used to
man.
doing something and all of a sudden you're asked to do it, you're like, well, I don't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. So I think I just came in with a lot of that this year. Like, man, why am I being invited to all these spaces to speak? And so, you know, Cruz was encouraging me. He's like, yo, you just addressed this entire room of men about, you know, they were y'all were praying the spirit of Daniel was over us and you know, praying for boldness and all of that. And the funny thing was, after everybody had prayed over us, you know, everybody laid hands, they prayed, and I was just so lit up and I was just in tears, bro, because literally the night before, this was a Tuesday night, Monday night is when we do our Bible studies,
Yeah.
and I shared with our Bible study, you know, the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when Nebuchadnezzar
yeah.
threw
Wow.
them into the fiery furnace, and you know, they were and it's like y'all were praying. The three of us, Spirit of Daniel, I'm like, man, we
Sheesh.
literally talked about this last night.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And that night, Monday night, I had a weird little breakdown. I just was like, you know, when you're just like, man, I lost it, guys. I'm just so defeated. But like, you know what? This is my fiery furnace, though. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling just insecure, all the things, right? And so when you know y'all prayed over us, the very next day, the same exact thing that we had spoken about the night before, I was like, man, I can't not share this with y'all. Mm-hmm. So I shared with the whole room. I'm like, man, this is crazy. We were talking about this last night at our Bible study. And so Cruz referenced that. He's like, you just spoke in front of everybody right now without hesitation. You looked at everybody in the eye. How did you do that? Why did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, because it's already in you. You already have it. God's already training you up in that. And so what Cruz said and what Julian said, they connected. It was the stop asking God for something that he's already given you. And then Cruz is like, bro, you already have it. You're already being trained up. Step into it with the boldness. And the caveat to that, though, is that my boldness is only like confident in me when I know it's not me. When I know it's the Holy Spirit. When I know it's God. Because then it's like, all right, God, like I'm just, my hands are up. You know, you take the steering wheel, but I'm still in the car. You know what I mean? Like, so... So yeah, I think my long-winded answer to this near future question is, I'm very much looking forward to 2024 because I'm already in the process of writing a book, and
Thank you.
I've never. Oh yes, we need some water. Cleared that throat.
All the esquite cheese.
Yes. I had never thought about writing a book ever in my life. I don't even like reading books, bro. So like,
I asked him the first time we hung out, hey, you like reading books? He's like, nah.
I like listening to books. I like podcasts. You know,
zero hesitation.
But you know, and somebody, in even this sort of like aha moment came at Young Guns because, you know, someone else. Man, I forget his name, man. My bad if you're listening. But somebody asked me, they're like, you know, I was sharing my story a little bit, and then he was like, hey, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I literally was like, bro, you're the 7th person this year that has asked me that. So now I am thinking because I'm like, why is everybody asking me if I've ever thought about writing a book? And then so at Young Guns, I mean, it's a place of very established men, and you know, a lot of the dudes are like already published authors and stuff. So as soon as I even brought that up, people were like, "Yo, I can help you out. I'll introduce you to my ghostwriter, my publisher, my agent."
That room is a very connected room.
And so it was through Young Guns where I met Tyler Burns. Shout out Tyler. And he and I have been connecting, and we recently spoke, and he was like, "Yo, I would love to." So we're planning to do like a writing retreat January. He's coming out here.
Come on, big dog.
And so we're just jumping into the deep end, bro.
So as you were sharing, I had to share this because like I just read this quote, and I like reading, by the way. But Robert Clinton said, "We as people, we're so impatient. We want to learn 1,000 things, but perhaps God is trying to teach us one thing in 1,000 different ways." That's a fire quote.
Good.
I know, right? He said, we're trying to learn 1,000 things because we're trying to figure out our life.
Right.
But perhaps God is trying to teach us one thing in 1,000 different ways. And having walked with you this past year, bro, I feel like God is doing 1,000 different things to teach you one thing. And just seeing you on that journey, it's been beautiful, bro. Wow. And just you sharing that.
That's dope.
I read that quote and I was like, wow, that's so true. You know what I mean?
So, no, I love that.
Man, thank you for that.
Dope.
Because you were, I'll go into mine. Ben, you were sharing something, and I remember I visited Beloved on the anniversary. I got to go, which was cool. Harrison came to speak, and he said something about what Ben just shared. That I think maybe I'm going to butcher this, but it sounded so cool. He said, "Holiness gives boldness its teeth."
Yeah, he did say that.
And
all these preachers, man, we got an issue, bro.
Good, man.
We got to make everything a little
good,
tweak.
though. I couldn't.
We talk in 140 characters.
That's good, though.
Bro, you guys are all like, I'm like, oh, snippet, t-shirt. I'm always like, t-shirt. Yeah, that's, I couldn't forget that. That was like really good. Yeah, you know what I'm looking forward to, man? Mine's like pretty simple because I've been through so much this year. It's been like really, really weird, right? I've never had a year like this where it felt like this. You guys ever watch Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, bro.
My childhood, dog. Come on, G.
Yeah, let me segue to that. Like it's like the hyperbolic chamber, right?
Oh, yeah,
You
growth.
go in.
Yeah.
The growth is immense, and it's like that training montage of every superhero movie
Yeah.
or every fighting movie or whatever.
yep.
It's the training montage, bro. That was 2023. It was
Yeah.
a training montage. So I actually sided with you a lot. What you're excited about? I feel compound interest. I'm gonna take that because I really feel really excited almost every day right now.
Wow.
Like I wake up, I'm like, all right, God, what you got for me today? And it's like, it's interesting because the calling that I've received is truly the spirit of Daniel, where I'm going to take Babylon by understanding Babylon. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm in these spaces, I'm in these networking things, or I'm being invited to these spaces, and I'll go. And I was sharing this with Ben. I didn't even go deep with Ben on this, but recently, 2 days ago, I went to this like entrepreneur event, like where everybody's like getting awards from like, you know, restaurant folks to business folks to whatever, all these like Asian founders, that kind of thing. I was there, and I found myself constantly just telling, like when they go, hey, so what's your main thing? It's like, you know what? I have big projects and small projects, right? I go, some of them are really flashy, and I'll tell them about Sonic or whatever. But I tell them, you know, but the reason why I said it like that is because these big projects and small projects, I love that I have them because all it's doing is creating a platform that I get to talk to you about God. And they just go, what?
Yeah, they're not expecting that. Yeah.
They didn't know I was going to segue that quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know why, even as I'm talking to you guys, maybe because I'm in the church space, like
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of y'all, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the fact that you guys are bold enough, courageous enough, crazy enough to have, and y'all aren't just like nobodies.
Yeah.
Like there's a risk, right?
Yeah.
Partnerships, brand deals might be like, are you a believer? We can't do this.
Yeah.
But I've seen you both like, no, like I follow Jesus.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and even you
Yeah.
guys processing this, it's just like for me, being a pastor, wanting to disciple my people to be in the world, and you guys are like an example of the type of people that I want to raise up and
Yeah.
disciple, right? So I just want to.
I think what's dope too is like for me, you know, I think for a pastor who like really has a heart for people, like I look at what you guys doing with extreme envy because like
Because we chose the wrong career, dog.
Well, yeah. Well, no, really. Well, really, because for us, like we just want to, like many of us just want to win lost people, you know, and
Amen.
you know some don't, but most pastors I know they just want to win lost people and then
Right.
and then help them see God's plan in their life, and so like hearing your guys' opportunities to almost be at the end of the world, you know, we salivate at that because I'm like, everywhere I go, I'm a pastor. Like, I even try to hide my occupation sometimes to kind of try to pull an okey doke to,
Yeah.
to like be like you, to be like,
Right.
well, let's, so like,
Right.
I've worked
Yeah.
in tech and marketing. And so sometimes I'll be like, oh, I work in tech and marketing and blah, blah, blah. And then I try to throw in the Lord. But like, once I say I'm a pastor, either they'll say like, oh my gosh, I go to church, and then they'll put this face on
Sure.
that isn't really
Yeah,
there.
interesting.
Yeah.
Or they'll maybe even show like an anti-religion approach, which is always fun for me because I get to then work that back.
Yeah.
But ultimately to kind of be able to use your guys as the Lord use you and gives you success in certain fields, and just kind of give all credit back to the Lord and talk about what really matters, because everybody at some point is broken. Everyone at some point is searching. Everyone, you know, it's the Romans 2 motto. Like everyone has a hole in their heart that is meant for the Word of God to fill. You know,
Yeah.
and the opportunity that you guys have, where it, you know, in many circles, like a lot of people would look up to you or dream to be some things that you get. Like, you know, the amount of guys I know who are like, that have catering company or chefs or whatever, to be able to do Complex Con. I mean, that aspects of it, like that's a dream to be in the Jabberwockies. If anyone's in the street space at all, like that's the kind of, in many people's eyes, it's like, oh, that's the epitome of success. That's that may not even equate to finance. To them, that's just like platform. That's the epitome of platform success. And then for you to be like, yeah, that's cool, but let me talk to you about the Lord. It just like discombobulates people.
Discombobulates.
You know? And I salivate over that because I'm like, they're so open to hear from you guys because they're just like, I love what you do. And then
Yeah.
for you to then like put it and be like, well, that's cool. But you know, what really gives me purpose is, and I heard it from you guys. Like, when we hung out at that retreat, you're like, both of you were like, yeah, that stuff's cool. But man, we've been doing this Monday night Bible study and 20 people have been coming to. It's like, it's so dope. You know, like that's what you're excited about, you know?
I know. They're hanging out with Snoop Dogg, but they're like, I gotta go.
Hey, Monday nights, baby.
Sorry, Wiz. I'd love to work on that nacho experience with you, Wiz Khalifa, but I gotta go do Bible study. You know, like,
tell us about that.
You know, well, before I jump into that, I want to turn it right back and encourage you guys again. And here's why. Because as pastors, you guys have it hard, man, and I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you guys have to be therapists. You guys have to be businessmen. You guys have to be friends. You guys have to be husbands.
Pallbearer.
Then you guys have to somehow be grown on trees and be perfect somehow, right?
Yeah.
And not be human beings, right? Which is really, really hard. But one thing I want to encourage is, as I'm out there, the seeds are being sowed by y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like that tiny little, like, oh, what is Kevin saying to me at this networking event? That seed happened because a pastor preached on them and they fell asleep in the pews. You get what I'm saying? Like, I got to give y'all credit.
Some sow, some harvest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And if you guys didn't do the seeds, it would be way harder for guys like us that's out there that love God and just out there just trying to have that aroma of Jesus, and it's easier. I noticed something. I'm out there networking, and when I brought it up to them, some of them were like, "Oh, like I could see it, like this taste or whatnot." But I was sharing this with Ben, which was there was this one particular interaction that I couldn't forget because there's two women like this. We're just talking about work. And then I got to that point where I just flipped the script and I go like, hey, you know, like, but I use all this because I'm trying to shine light on the Lord. Like, I love God. Like, do you guys love God? I always ask people that. Do you guys love God?
Yeah, you did.
That's
was
my
the thing from the retreat.
Yeah. I'm like, you love God? You love
Yeah.
God? That's my thing, you know? So I was like, you love God? That girl immediately turned off. I saw it, right? She turned off and she's like, oh. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, like, are you like a PK? Like, are you like a pastor's kid or something? And then I was, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah. That's
She's trying to rationalize why you feel like you have the right to bring up God.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
So she's like, what's up with this guy? And then her reaction was that, and then, but I was like, no, and we laughed about it. It was okay now. But her friend kind of like lingered, and like her other friend was already talking to somebody. Her friend turned, the one that was quiet, turned and goes, "Hey, is your Bible study liberal?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, can I be honest with you? We don't care about politics. I mean, that's just me being real. Like, they're like, "Oh, really? Like, I mean, we just come, and we just read, and we just pray. It's a very simple thing, and." You know, just come as you are. Like, I mean, that's what I know about Jesus, so that's what we do, you know?
Yeah.
And she goes, you know, I pray every day, and I love God, and I don't go to church because I'm gay. And I was like, okay. She's like, you think it's okay if I stop by your spot sometime? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, zero hesitation. Because for us, like, it's not that we're trying to promote. I know there's lines, and this can get to a deeper thing, but
right.
At the end of the day, I just simply, you know, in my eyes, I just saw someone hurting and really wanted to be with God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was it. And I couldn't forget about that girl. I was like, geez, that was like,
yeah.
You know?
And the Spirit knows, John 1 says Jesus, was the Word and it became flesh. So we know for all intents and purposes, the Word of God is Jesus' words given to us, God's words given to us. Yeah. And so then the Spirit of God, you and I are blind without the Spirit opening our eyes. Yeah. I think people forget that all the time. Like, you think you decided to go to God. No, the Lord, that's why Jesus' miracles relate to us today. Like, when he gives sight to the blind, that is an image of that is what he does. You know, when he asks them, do you want to be well? You know, that's a question to say, I could do it. But if you got to be willing to allow me to heal you, allow me to work in your life. So I think oftentimes we think that we have to defend every nook and cranny of what the Bible says. Whereas if we create an open door where people can come and hear the word, the Spirit will begin to do things.
Absolutely.
And then are there times we got to one-on-one disciple people? Yeah, 100%. But if someone's heart is already broken, you know, this girl's coming to you and she's like, my heart's already been broken by other church, other Christians,
exactly.
whatever. For you to double down on that brokenness, I mean, that's not going to solve anything. That's just going to, this is just going to push her further, right?
Yeah.
But to say, you know, Jesus welcomes you, you know, with open arms, and as you begin to receive God, receive His Spirit, the Spirit's going to guide you where you need to go in your life, and you're going to decide for yourself whether you want to do that or not.
Right.
But to feel like we always have to give this huge answer, and because people sometimes are scared, like I don't want to share my faith because what if they ask me something that either they won't want to hear and then they'll get mad at me and I'll lose a friend, or I don't know how to answer it, and it's like stop putting so much credit in your hands. You know, like it ain't for you to figure all that out. You know,
one of the things I want to say that's interesting too is like the spaces you guys are in, right? I think sometimes a problem with the church, but you know, I'm speaking as a pastor, right? But the problem that oftentimes in myself as a Christian is we think it's our job to convict people. It's our job to love people. It's the Holy Spirit's job to convict people, right? And then one thing that I think that's pretty dope about how you guys are excellent in what you do, and the reason why I think that's important, my spiritual father said this. I don't know if this is biblically accurate. Lately, people be killing on my
disclaimer.
My Instagram going crazy nowadays.
Here comes the comments, bro. Here comes the comments, bro.
Welcome to the game, bro.
I went out there and pop people killing me. My point is this.
He's a viral master right here for this reason alone.
Hey, the
Korean king, the Korean viral king.
Come on, baby. Asian invasion on Beyond the Letter today, baby.
I feel so out of place.
Nah, you good, man. You good, man.
But my father-in-law, who was my spiritual father, said, you know, when Jesus says, I'm going to make you fishers of men, and he used to always say, which means that you got to be the bait. Because it's Jesus who saves, but the world needs a bait to come and taste to get saved. And oftentimes in the secular space, the bait is excellence. They need to respect that you have weight in this industry before they even listen to what you have to say. The church world is like, you just believe in Jesus, right? It's like you don't need to be good. You just, you know, you're taught to love people, but in the world, it's like, yo, if you're just not in the music industry, you're really good at it.
Right.
You're not just in the food business.
Right.
You bring great hospitality and you bring great joy through food. You're not just dancing. You're up in here changing culture.
Yeah.
So now they bite the bait, which is y'all's excellence, y'all's craft. What they don't know though is your.
And then they're wondering, well, what's the magic sauce? Why are you why are you doing what you're doing? But also, why do you seem healthy?
Exactly.
You know,
Ooh, yeah.
'Cause there's a lot of people doing great stuff, but man, they're not true.
And that's why you
know?
switch on them. You're like, actually, the motivation is not followers. The motivation is not a promotion. I actually do this because I love God. And then that girl's like, man, the church space, I've been telling I'm wrong. I respect this guy in my industry, and he's just loving people here, right? So you just, and God uses it all.
Yeah.
God uses it all.
Amen.
So.
You know what's crazy? I literally was talking about, I don't know where I got, maybe I got it from you, but I was sharing with a friend.
I just said that.
Literally yesterday.
Verbatim.
Like literally yesterday, but so I was sharing with a friend, and Jesus said, I'll make you fishers of men, right? Yeah, so excellence being the bait, I totally agree. I think that is something that is a very attractive quality when someone does something really, really well, that you're undeniably good at something, and then it's like, hey, I would love to know more, and then the more is like, well, yeah, I don't do it for the worldly standards and things, but it's because I love God. But I also think this, though, and this is what I was sharing with my friend, was to be a fisherman, there's different fish out there that bite on different bait. So you got to know what the bait is for the fish that you're trying to catch.
Oh,
right?
he's preaching now.
So,
Adam.
like, you got, and like, and what I was gonna say earlier though too, like, you know, when we are really good at whatever flashy stuff to the world, right? Excellent businessman, dancer, musician, whatever, right? And for me, when I think about, you know, my invitations to spaces, in secular spaces. It's because of, oh yeah, you were a Jabberwocky, oh yeah, you're a Kinja. Like, we know you, we respect you. Like, come on in, have a seat at the table. And for me, I look at, my history of dance and pursuing, creative spaces and things like that. I'm like, man, what was that for, God? And I felt like God saying, because I wanted to give you access to people. You have a seat at the table because of what front-facing you look like and what people know you for. And so to me, like, when I think about bait and access, it's like, yo, I have this thing that I can now use this to catch you and bring you in. And then now that we're here, now we get to go deeper. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was sharing that with this whole idea of being a fisher of men. Like, you got to know what bait to use to be able to catch the fish. And it's not every single bait's going to work with every fish. And also, to that point, we're not responsible to necessarily be like, God, like, how come I'm not working with this person? Like,
for sure.
Holy Spirit, let him be like, yo, like, you're gonna have access to certain people, and you're gonna be effective with certain people, and who you may not be, quote unquote, effective with, there are other people for that. And I use those people. Because I think that's also something that we can get caught up with, is thinking that, I gotta be 100% accurate, hit the bullseye every time I try something for the Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then if that's the case, then it becomes about us again.
Yeah.
It's like, Lord, how come it didn't work? How come I must have done something wrong? And I think that's something where, when you were talking about, we oftentimes shy away from talking about God, because we're like, what if I say something wrong that turns them away? Or what if I say something that I don't know and I make God look dumb? Or make I discredit. I discredit Christianity because, so you don't even know the answer to that, bro? Like, why would I believe in Christianity? You know what I mean? Like, and so it still becomes about us, where we're afraid of, like, I might mess this up somehow, so let me bottle it up.
Yeah.
But I think, for me, when, Kevin, like, he says he posts whatever, like, collab posts, everything just to go on his feed.
I do.
And I respect and I love that. I'm actually not like that. Because maybe part of it is because, I'm a creative and I'm like, I want to curate my feed in whatever type of way. But I also, like, someone, one of my friends told me this, and she was like, hey, I really respect the way that you are present on social media, because she was like, you are just 100% you, and what you post is what represents you. So I'm like, I think this is funny. I'm just going to post it. Oh, this is a dope dancer. I'm going to post it. Wow, this dude is spitting fire about Jesus. I'm going to post it. I just ate some mangoes. I'm going to post it. You know what I mean? Like, I just put my life out there, so that, like, the way that I feel like the Lord has convicted me to be in this world is, you don't need to let me put on this jacket, and then, all right, now I'm in this room. Okay, let me take that off. Let me put on this hat. It's just like, just be you and show up how you are. And you're allowed to think things are funny. You're allowed to be inspired and want to inspire. You're allowed to just be like, this is like, look at the sunset. This is really, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're allowed to be who you are, and you don't always have to be like, man, but how are people going to view me? I better always make it so that I'm 100% always viewed in this light, because I don't know, bro. That's just not human.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to worry so much about, like, how are people going to, sure, we always have to exercise discernment and all of that, but I just feel like, for me, I'm like, I just want people to know me for who I am, and there's layers to that, but at the core of that is Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
At what point in your kind of career did you begin to take your faith much more intentionally? Were you in the Jabberwockies? Was it more in the recent years? Like, at what point? And through the Jabberwockies, is there anything through that kind of pinnacle of? Though you guys wore masks, but I'm sure internally people knew who you are, and there is a sense of fame, right?
Yeah.
It's like, was there any temptations of the ego drive and other stuff like that? So kind of two questions, like, where did you first start engage your faith? And then how did being in something that's very viral before virality even existed, like, how did that even temper you as a person? If your faith was in there, did that test it? But if it wasn't, then how just was that? That like?
It's a great question. I mean, yeah, you're right. This is pre-social media, really. When this is 2008 now, so I'm dating myself here. But when I got saved when I was in high school, and that was when I was like, all right, yeah, I think I got a relationship with Jesus. Cool, we're ready to rock. And then I got into dance heavily more in college. And with that, like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, I was lost for a minute. Like, I'm walking with Jesus, but like, man, this dance stuff's pretty dope. And so I'm just kind of like really sucked up into that. And I kind of went very lukewarm for a good 10+ years, bro. And that the Jabberwocky adventure was in that time period. And I'm not gonna lie, man. The temptations of the world are real. I mean, like, let's just call it what it is, right? And, for me, being like this younger believer, not in healthy community, you know what I mean? I was just kind of, my community was the folks that I was rolling with, my crew and people in the dance community. And, winning a TV show like ABDC that none of us had any idea what that was going to do for us. It was unprecedented. This was season 1. It wasn't like there was, if we do this show, we'll become like them. It's just like we're just like, I don't know, we're gonna go and do this TV show, which we don't even know if people are gonna watch. And then
they watch because of you. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, for all intents and purposes, like, dancing exists as even the Dancing with the Stars. I mean, to me, like, the precursor was that season. Like, without that season, the Jabberwockies doing what they did, I mean, dance wouldn't even be popular today as a mainstream.
They didn't even have
thing,
dance shows, bro. Like, that was
no,
it.
No,
like, that
I
was
mean, they had
the
like You Think You Can Dance, but that was those are like solo acts. You know what I mean?
those are different. That was
Yeah.
different, bro.
Yeah, so we did the show, we won it, and then it was like this cultural phenomenon, and we were just getting pulled left and right, given all, just like literally the world handed to you on a silver platter overnight. And it was a bunch of young dudes, man. Like, we got hit by it. You know what I mean? I got hit by it. And
I could only imagine.
Yeah, and so I definitely got sucked up into it, and then remove me from LA, which is home, and then take me to a place like Las Vegas, man. You just you're thrown into the furnace, bro. And
at what point did Jabberwockies have a residency at Vegas?
So 2010. So we won the show 2008. Yeah, so like within 2 years.
They're still a resident.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. It's crazy.
And they've been on for over 13 years now.
How many guys are from the original that are in that Vegas residency today?
So the original guys, out of the originals, 4 of the guys are still there in Vegas, and they own the company, they own the business. So they're more so functioning as owners, and then they've hired an entire cast of dancers to continue the Vegas show amongst the other projects that they have going on. But when I was there in 2010, life was fast, man. And here's the great thing, bro. Like, and again, all glory to God for this, because this had nothing to do with my own doing. I could have completely just ditched everything and just be like, cool, I'm just gonna enjoy this life, right? Yeah. But something was keeping me like, you gotta still be going to church, bro. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, so Sundays I would clock in on Sundays. My
wife was that same way. She was a professional soccer player, and she would just get drunk, ripped on Saturday, but there was this like conviction of like, even half drunk, I gotta go to church on 100%. Sunday. She always had
and
that.
So
like,
I'm always at church on Sunday somehow, and so I clock in on a Sunday, right? I'm like, all right, cool, I'm here, and my pastor, shout out Pastor Derek Nieder, he was preaching at a Revelation where Jesus says,
"This is in Vegas."
This is in Vegas.
What's the church in
Calvary
Vegas?
Chapel.
Beautiful.
It was Calvary Chapel Spring Valley at the time, but they're Calvary Chapel Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Are they now? I think they're called Awaken now. So they recently changed their name. But so I'm sitting in service, and he's preaching, and then I'm like, okay, it's the hot or cold one. Cool, I've heard this one.
Revelation. What a great series to be in with you in the room.
And I'm literally sitting there with this, like, all right, I've heard this one before. And then something clicked where Holy Spirit was like, I'm talking to you, bro.
Just you.
I'm throwing you all the signs right now.
You're that lukewarm that I will spit out.
Oh, man.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks, bro. And I just started weeping. And I was like, it's one of those moments where it's like, wait, where am I? You know what I mean? Like, you almost like you woke up from the Matrix and you're like, dude, I'm that guy, And so I was just like Lord, I don't know how I got here. I'm so far gone. Please, I want to come back. I want to come back.
So
and I was just like, Lord, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, man,
Yeah,
be careful
man.
what you tell God.
yeah.
He said, okay,
Yeah.
you
I
ready?
got you.
You
Yeah.
ready to, like, we're going to journey back. And when I
Wow.
say journey, it was a journey, and it still is.
Yeah.
And so this is 2013 when this happened. And an entire year, I still stayed in Vegas for that entire year, but there was a whole lot of just like God revealing one thing at a time to me, and He was revealing like I'm gonna posture your heart back to being sensitive to the things that I am sensitive to, and so. Man, revealing just a lot of sin that I had, just habitually been living in. I was in I was engaged to be married at the time. Like it was just,
Wow.
I was in a relationship that just wasn't right for me, and I just wasn't even seeing it. And there was just a lot of undoing, and even the way that I was seeing Jabbawockeez and the career path that I had been choosing. And like God just started to change the taste in my mouth, and I just like,
Yeah.
this isn't for me anymore. And so again, it wasn't this overnight thing where I was like, cool, like I did this one day, and tomorrow I'm gonna go do this. It's no, it's just and
There's a
that's
refinement.
refinement. And
Yeah.
when we talk about people's processes, right, like the girls that you encountered,
Yeah.
and like. Going away, we talk about going prodigal and all these things, right? All of that
Prodigal.
is the sanctification process, right? Refining
yeah.
happens over time. Even when we stray, when we are God's kids, man, He knows who His kids are and He knows how to bring them back, but He's also patient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even in the story of the prodigal son, it's not like the father went out and grabbed his son, like, you're coming home with me.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
waited for him to come
Yeah.
home. And once he saw him, he started running to him and was
Yeah.
like, he embraced him. And so I think just the thing that I've learned over the years, and it's been now, almost 10 years since I've been back in LA after having left. And, from there, too, I was like, all right, God, I'm back. Like, no more dancing, just full-time ministry. I'm going to go into missions and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I really thought that the dancing, all that stuff was over. But, like, He was like, no, it's not over. Like, that was the platform, and that's the tool that I gave you.
Yeah.
You're just going to do it differently now. You're going to do it with a different motive and a different mission. And when I thought about missions, I'm thinking like, all right, I gotta go to Africa. I gotta just, you know what I mean? Like, just remove myself from home, and that's missions. But God made it very clear, like, look, yo, dude, LA, your hometown, the dance industry, the entertainment industry, your new crew, Kinjaz, like, this is your mission field, your platform. And now I'm seeing even more so, God established all this sort of worldly, pretty packaging for me. And then now He's like, but use your voice, like your actual like talk.
Yeah.
And so when and like going back to good service, that's where I felt the call. Like people have asked me, like, yo, dude, like you interview people, you ask a lot of people questions so that they can talk. What about your story? And I'm like, why would anybody care about my story? You know what I mean? That's not what's important.
We care.
But that's what I've been learning, and that's all in this year where I felt like the Lord was saying, no, you gotta now. You love this podcasting thing so much, right? Cool. Well, then tell your story, bring people on to tell their story, but we're going to talk about the real stuff. And that's what I love about Good Service. It's not this very polished, we're going to go into the depths of theology and, we got to know our stuff. Kevin and I, we're not seminarians, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we live life and we walk with the Lord and we unpack things as they come. We ask questions. We're like, hey, is this legit? I don't know. Let's ask Will.
Yeah.
Bring Will on so he can school
It's nice
us
to
on
have
some
pastor
things.
friends.
Yeah.
But
Called Dr. Will.
right?
Dr. Dropper.
Doctorate
Dropout
dropout Will. Still fascinates me to this day. Who drops out at their doctorate? You got undergrad.
That's what's
I didn't know that. Oh,
man,
He's a doctorate dropout.
doctorate
Put me on the
dropout.
list.
Nice.
I didn't even know that was a thing, bro.
It happens.
Man. But like that, like my personal call to do good service is like, man, if we are in a space where we have questions, even as Christians who've been walking with the Lord for however many years, and I still have questions. I'm still unsure. I still struggle with X, Y, or Z. Can we talk about this stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yeah.
and if we feel like we're in this space, I'm pretty sure someone else out there is in that space too.
Yeah.
And the blessing of it is that since we've been out for about 5 months now, we're getting a lot of these, you know, a lot of the feedback, the DMs, the comments, and like people are like, yo, I've been looking for something like this that I can relate to. And you know, they just feel like, yo, I just feel like I'm in a room with some homies talking.
Yeah.
And I get to just kind of listen.
Yeah,
And
I think
like,
that's what I appreciate the most is that the feedback has been so warm about how warm we feel, I guess. They feel like, hey, we just feel like we're having fellowship with you guys. And I'm like, dope.
Bro, the amount
And
of
people want that. Like, we're so
Yeah.
isolated nowadays. Like, if
yeah.
you're in good community, like, you're a rare gem, you know?
Yeah.
So we think, like, if any of us, I think all four of us could agree, we all have pretty
Yeah.
good community. So it's easy
Yeah.
to think, like, everybody has that and has this.
Yeah.
But 90% of people,
I'm like,
little
oh,
man right
poor,
there.
I know,
He's
poor
good.
doggy. What's going on?
hey, don't talk to the dog like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Bro, might hurt you.
I keep my side-eyeing the dog over there. I said, say service dog. Let me just be sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, having a podcast that people feel like they can just engage with and feel like they're, you know, one of the best compliments I ever got from a guy who listens to the podcast. He came up to me one day and he said, I was an only child. I never had brothers. I got married young because I got my girlfriend pregnant. And he said, I can honestly say I've never had a best friend. And when I listen to your podcast, I feel like I have best friends for the first time.
Oh, man.
And I was like, bro, I just like, I start welling up, you know, and you just, you know, for me, it's like, man, I take that for granted, you know, that and seeing your guys' stuff and seeing clips, I could see how, you know, it just not a lot of that in the faith space.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people enjoy all those, you know, like the Joe Rogans and all the other really popular podcasts, because they feel like they just get to pull a seat up to the table, and those conversations are stuff they care about.
Yeah.
But for people that are exploring where their faith is at, and maybe they've come to faith, maybe they're not, maybe they're in the process too, maybe they have, but yet they feel like they've been faking their faith, which I think a lot of Christians feel like often. You look at a preacher, you look at a Christian that shares their testimony on the pulpit, and you think to yourself, I'm so far off from that guy or that girl. Like, I'm so far off.
Yeah.
But then when you regularly hear people on a like a long form podcast or whatever, and hear their imperfections coming out, you're just like, oh man, I don't think I'm all that
dude,
far off.
I want to keep encouraging
you know?
that too, because it's like those imperfections are what really draws people together, you know. And so I encourage all the leaders out there that have platforms. I know it's hard because like we've been taught to be perfect, and we've been taught to like hold that pedestal and look, you know, real beefy all the time or whatever. But man, like what's crazy is how much these younger generations, especially the young ones coming up right now, and even like our generations, we're like so hard on ourselves. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, Asian shame is a real thing, but that's cultural. But everyone's shaming everybody now, and I'm like, what is this, man? Like, why y'all walking around with so much? You're not even Asian. Like, what are you so upset about your grades, or you're so upset about like what kind of Christian you are? Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up in that because culturally, Asian people shame each other. That's like an actual
honor and shame culture.
Yes, honor, shame. That's like a real thing, right? But like nowadays, everyone is so hard on one another, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's up with, and a lot of it is social media.
Oh, for
100%.
sure.
You know, a lot of it is
100%,
like everybody is exposed to everyone's life, and they only see the good parts.
Yeah.
Right?
We get to control every aspect that we share.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everything's like photoshopped and pretty and perfect comments and captions and whatever. The pressure's on.
Yeah.
And it's like they won't even step in a church nowadays because they're like, no, I'll burn up. I'm like,
For
what?
sure.
I'm like,
Oh,
what do you
yeah.
mean you'll burn up?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're fine, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, not for me. Not for me. I'm gone. I'm way too far gone. Right. And that's just like, oh man, like, I just gotta say, man, like, more vulnerability. And I think that's one of the things about the pod that we love is that we start vulnerable. Like, Ben will literally share something that happened like that day. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, I'll literally I'll have a fight with my wife and I'll actually talk about it. Like, I'll just go, you know, I was doing so good with God, and then pff,
Yeah.
like, literally I was like, is this marriage over? Like, it's crazy how like dark it gets so fast sometimes. And I'm just going to be real about it. Cause like that is life, and I have to talk about it. And I love talking about the tools that God gives you. And the Bible actually has a bunch of tools. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, it's like,
right.
this is dope. There's like an instruction guide right here. So I think that's something that we've really prided ourselves in our conversations. We start vulnerable, and thank you to all the guests. They get vulnerable with us, which
Yeah.
is super dope. And I didn't even know a lot of stuff. Like when Will was on, I actually didn't know the entire background. And so, and he was able to share with us all the things he's been through. And I was just like, no wonder your Congress love you. You know what I mean? Because it's not that you have really nice skin and
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, he's gorgeous.
He's like
gorgeous.
he's like
comments.
deserves to be on
seriously,
BTS.
seriously.
Literally,
like,
people
I
like,
tell
that
yo,
all
this
the
guy's
time.
dropping
Yeah.
bars, but actually,
Bro.
what's the skin regimen?
Yeah. No, I've seen that. I've seen that. I've
yeah,
seen that
yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
Like, thank God. Yeah. I've seen those.
Shout out to my wife.
Yeah. Thank God this man doesn't get highlights in his hair. You know what I mean? Like,
Game over.
Like game over.
Yeah.
Like he needs to calm it down. But that's not it. And it's not even like the eloquent way you speak. I mean, because you're a great speaker. It's your vulnerability, bro. Like when I because I'll like sneak. I always sneak into y'all's Sunday. Like I'll listen in. You know, I always like listening in. And then and I love it. And I love like how everybody has these things. But nowadays it's the vulnerability. It attracts. It really does, because when a leader is able to let their guard down, the congregation gets to go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
take a breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh.
Well, that era of Christianity that was, hellfire and brimstone in the sense of,
Yeah.
hey, you got to be perfect. And if you're not perfect, then you're just not obedient enough.
Right,
Like
right.
that only lasted for so long because
Yeah.
all those pastors that were saying that were sleeping with their secretary, like embezzling funds or whatever,
Yeah.
that it was like, immediately it started to show like, oh, there's a platform side. And then there's, and then this guy takes his pastor hat off, where he's talking about holiness and being perfect, and all this stuff. And then he has his human side, where it was like, if you would have just stopped trying to convince yourself that you had to separate those two people, and actually, like when you're having issues with your wife, like I've heard other pastors in the past, it's becoming more and more acceptable and popular, but other pastors like, man, I can't go to counseling with my wife if my congregation hears that. They won't respect my sermons
I still
anymore.
hear stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You'll think, man, maybe they'll respect you more.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Unless you're preaching something on the pulpit that'll be contradictory. But overall, if you go to counseling with your wife and you share that, like people will stand up seeing you more respectably, and also they won't see you as you perfect, and also they won't view themselves as having to be perfect, because it'd be like, man, if my pastor gets in fights with his wife, if my pastor's got a kid that's not following the Lord or whatever, then hey, my life isn't so, it's not so it's not so far off from being that person that is looking to be perfected in Christ, not perfect for Christ. And that's the difference,
Yeah, and it's so powerful when they take that vulnerable moment and lesson, and they'll teach it. And it's powerful for members, just like for us, just listening, as the audience listening. When you take that powerful moment and then you back it up with scripture, it just sticks in my heart forever.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Like, to me, that's Jesus.
Yes. Yes.
Like, Like the incarnation, right?
Yeah.
Like
So good.
God became human, right? Glory became weak, right? The king became a servant, and he
good.
chose to reveal humanity. I think I said this on this podcast last time, how Craig Rochelle, he was talking about how young leaders, their temptation is to preach spectacular sermons. But he was like, but your invitation is to be normal. And he was like, because your superpower is when you're normal. Your superpower is when your people can see you and say, wow, I can relate. And that's the gospel. It's like, I can relate. God became flesh. And he became like me, so he can be with me, and I could be with him. And I think,
so good.
yeah, that's
awesome.
been a whole journey.
Yeah, I was just talking to a pastor that was in his 60s, and we were talking about like this podcast, and I'm like, yeah, then we do, and then I do a podcast with my wife called Beyond I Do, a marriage one, and he just like, his eyes like kind of glazed over for a second, and I'm like, oh, what's wrong? He's like, I mean, I've been married 48 years, and I still don't think I have enough advice to give people on marriage. Like, it's very bold of you that you think you have that, like you have that much advice that you can offer for relationships. And I was like, No. I think you got it twisted. That podcast is not about you know, like whenever you're watching MTV and then like the couples on those like dating islands go and sit down with a marriage expert or a relationship expert, and it's someone who's like 27, not even married,
27.
And I'm wondering like where, like what gave them the expert title? You know, like I get caught up for the next 20 minutes wondering like what makes you a relationship expert? I don't even think I could call myself that, you know? And in that same sense, I told him like, no, the podcast is all about our failures and all about our past and our history and what we're working through right now. Yeah. You know, because like someone recently asked a question for the podcast, like, you know, what advice would you give to couples who are experienced, the wife's going through menopause and how they can, you know, have a healthy marriage? Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I've never had a wife that has gone through menopause. You know, my wife's 35. Like I've never, you know, so then right there I'm like, but I need to go and search and have someone on who's experienced that and has, and is on the other side of it that can kind of give some healthy reflections on it. Yeah. And so when I shared that, it was almost still like it didn't compute. Like he's like, why are you sharing all your issues then? You know, it's like, because for maybe a different generation,
let's be polished.
It's the polish. Like, clean. Share what you have figured out. And if you haven't figured out, tuck that in the closet and under the bed. You know, like that was the old historic way of understanding it. Like what you're good at, share it. And if you're bad at someone, don't let someone know because you may lose credibility if you do that, you know, rather than honestly saying like, hey, I'm in the middle of this. I'm trying to figure this out. But here's what I'm learning so far. You know?
You know what's dope? So just the other day at our Bible study, so, you know, one of the homies, we asked him to, hey, if there's something on your heart that you would want to kind of lead our group in a discussion. So he's like, yeah, I want to talk. I mean, you know, Christmas is approaching. I want to talk about Matthew 1. So we're like, oh, sick. Okay, cool. And so, you know, Matthew 1 starts out with the genealogy of Jesus, right? And, bro, it just changed my mind on the importance and significance of a genealogy. It's just a bunch of names. I'm like
who is my father's father's
I preached that last weekend.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
It was titled Jesus' Messy Family.
Bro, that's exactly. But, like, you know, all these names that are hard to pronounce, and it's like, okay, like, but then when, you know, it's why are all these names in there? And why is none of them left out? Because there are some messy characters in that genealogy, right? Yeah. Exactly that. We got prostitutes, we got murderers, you know
players,
what I mean?
pimps,
murderers.
Yeah.
Like, the whole nine, and none of those names were left
Gentiles.
out. And the whole point that I got from it was every single one of those names matter.
Yeah.
Not because if none of them were left out, like, because you could easily be like, maybe we could like not mention that one.
Let's leave out the prostitutes.
Right.
Let's leave out the murder guy.
Right.
You know, let's leave out the king that made all of Israel kill their babies. You know, like let's leave out that guy.
Yeah.
You know, but they didn't.
Right. And then you have like illegitimate children. Like, you know, so it's all of that is in there, and then boom, Jesus. And then it's the entrance of Jesus redeems that entire genealogy. And so,
my God,
like it's like when and I just like, bro, I did not ever really dissect it like that. You know what I mean? And so, you know, speaking of relatability, it's like, yo, if Jesus's lineage looks like that, then I guess mine's not all that crazily far off. You know what I mean? Like I have access to that same Jesus because now I am grafted into this family. Yeah. And like that's like the crazy thing, like to feel like we gotta have this immaculate, perfect, you know, track record
and family and kids and every guy better be polished.
And the other side of it that I continually, and not to condone or promote anything, but it's not that the moment you meet Jesus, then everything becomes perfect. And like, I know my track record's a little, you know, dirty, but like the moment I met Jesus and that point on, it's like perfect. It's like, nah, bro. It sometimes remains like it remains messy. It remains, you know, we wrestle with these things. And again, I'm not to condone anything, but like even to this day, there are certain things that I used to struggle with, like BC days, right? Like, oh man, like I used to just have like the worst like mouth. I would just cuss, like it was just a part of my vernacular. And then, you know, after I accepted Jesus, like somehow that just stopped. Yeah. And people were like, they would take notice. My barber took notice. He's like, hey, you know, I'm like 13, 14 years old. He's like, you seem different these days. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. You just talk different. You just have like just a different. And I'm like, wow. And I just realized, I don't really like cuss like that anymore. And there are other
You didn't
things.
cuss this whole podcast.
I know, not one
at
word.
We didn't have to bleep you out. at all.
You're gonna have to lay hands on me, dog.
Yeah.
This cussing thing, man.
Will, on the other hand.
But
That's
you know,
funny,
but
that's
there
funny.
are other things that, and I'll admit, there are other things that like I still struggle with that, Lord. Like, please, can we work that one out still? You know,
I need help.
And you know, and I think that is, you know, the sanctification process. You know, some things. You know, the Lord will deliver you from, and then there are other things that He'll be like, we're going to continue to work that out. We're going to continue to refine, and I think that's, you know, just to encourage anybody out there who feels like they are in that space with God, where they're like, man, I love God, but I still, you know, this and that is still not perfect. Not saying it's okay, like keep it going, but it's just like, yo, give that to the Lord. You know, like let the Lord work that out with you, and you know, Bible says that the Lord doesn't condemn, he does convict. You know, the Holy Spirit convicts, and he makes us feel uncomfortable about those things, because he's like, that's not my way for you, so let's keep working on that, keep coming to me with that. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, even with Paul's thorn in his flesh, people argue what that thorn is, but like he asked the Lord 3 times, like, remove it, and then God said, no, my grace is sufficient for you. So whatever that thing is, like God doesn't always remove the thing, but He'll like, but keep coming to me. We're gonna keep working that out.
The random genealogy sidebar is that, you know how they talk about the 14 generations? Yeah. And then so like I was like, because I know this random fact about myself, I'm the 14th first son.
What? In your family?
In my family.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
only an Asian man would know that.
I was like, I know. Only an Asian man will know this. And I was like, yes,
I feel like you have
I'm
the
just
family
like
tree on your
Jesus.
wall too.
We have a family tree book. That's a real thing. It's like a
Dang,
book.
that's dope.
I'm jelly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They trace it back. If you go to Busan, which is a southern city in South Korea, there's 300 people with my last name. They're all related.
Wow. Are you guys all Korean?
Oh, we
You're
are.
all Korean.
You're all
Yeah.
Korean.
Yeah.
It's
Look at
is Kinjas Korean ninjas?
Actually, wait. What is the K? What is the K? What is the K?
Hey, just say it's like Kingdom Ninjas or something, dog.
Yeah, what is it?
Okay. It's literally a made-up word. So kin is, you know, the
like
root
homie,
word
like
for
family. Yeah.
family.
Oh, man.
And when Kinjas first started, we weren't even called Kinjas. We were called Anbu Black Ops, which, if you're an anime fan, that comes directly from Naruto. And the first ever Kinjas performance was literally just a whole
Anbu.
Naruto inspired performance. And then once the crew
I gotta
kept
look that up now.
going,
Yeah.
they're like, yo, we can't keep calling ourselves that because we're gonna get sued.
Yeah, for sure. If we get popular, it's gonna go real bad.
So kin is
That's
like, you
so
know, it's
funny,
brotherhood,
dude.
it's
Yeah.
family, but it also like the root word of like kinesthetic, like movement.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
This is very brilliant.
It's a brotherhood of movement ninjas.
It ain't Korean
Yeah.
ninjas.
Yeah.
Korean ninjas.
So ninjas is in there though.
Ninjas, yeah,
Okay.
it's like ninjas. So it's
Yeah.
like
50% right.
brotherhood of movement ninjas.
Hey, man, Koreans
It's
be thinking
Kinjas.
different, dog.
Oh, the branding is on
said y'all
fire,
are
bro.
Korean
We got Secret Saucy Society.
That's right. That's
Kinjas.
right.
Kinjas, bro.
Hey,
It-
branding,
you know.
man. Hey, we're branders, man. That's what we
Yes.
do. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Branding and marketing.
I want to close with this last thought.
Yeah.
Why do you think Koreans are so effective at those type of things, bro? Like, there's so many parts
weird,
of
huh?
Asia, but it seems like, and maybe because we're in LA, I don't know for other people, but it seems like Koreans are just great at business, great at even like street style stuff. Like, there's a landscape, you know, where in like some cultures it's like, we're really good at this, we're really good. Seems like Koreans are very nimble at
So
the
I have-
industries they're able to impact.
I'm curious what y'all would think.
I have a very prideful answer, so I'm going to answer with that.
Do it.
That's the only thing I have.
Kevin's answer.
Yeah, that's the
Because you
only thing
can
I
say
have.
it's Korean pride, not personal pride. So
Yeah,
now
true,
you can
true,
run
You could
true,
just say
true.
everything before this was good service.
This is just okay. There you go.
Beyond the letter.
Let's come back. Let's come back. Okay, great.
Because we're ending with this.
Okay,
thought,
okay,
you know?
perfect. This is such a random thing to end with too. I actually did a study on Korean history in college because I just wanted
You
to know.
have to. You
I
know
to.
your
I wa-
family
I
tree. You
wanted
know
to
you're the 14th first son.
So I am. So I had to do it, and I learned that we're a peninsula nation, and that actually shapes our culture. Peninsula nations like Italy, we have to fight our entire lives, and the reason why is we have to fight outside invaders to our continent, which is Japan. And we have to fight. I love Japanese people. That's not what I said, but it's just history.
It's just natural.
It's just history, bro. Y'all took over our nation. But anyways, yeah. It's just part of history. It was there. We were slaves. Like, anyways, yeah. It's just facts, okay? But anyways, but a peninsula nation also has to fight the mainland because they'll try to conquer to the sea because they want our resources. So peninsula nations naturally have fighter instincts in them where they want when it's fight or flight, we fight.
Yeah.
And so with that, we might not there's a lot of creative cultures out there. What's really interesting is their discipline is super high on a lot of things because that's all we had. We didn't have money. We didn't have all the crazy resources of China. We didn't have all the technologies of Japan or whatever it was. So all we had was incredible discipline, and it started with education, and they really prided themselves on being able to learn quickly and emulate quickly. So that's why you see a lot of Korean businessmen because they'll take an idea and make it better. They're really good at that. They don't start the ideas. They'll take it and make it crazy. They're really good at that. That's what I've seen. It all comes from this mindset of a peninsula nation. If you guys look this up, there's like a real study on this. It's like crazy. And I'm like,
Oh, that's dope.
yeah,
I believe you.
Yeah, so me and Italians,
Yeah.
we, like Italians and
You connect.
Koreans, we
You get
connect,
it.
but we also fight like crazy.
Yeah.
So I remember in 2002.
But it's true.
yeah.
Italian culture, same way, because we're on the West Coast, but you go East Coast, especially New York and New Jersey, that's very Italian, and they're in everything.
They're in
They're in
everything.
plumbing. They're in restaurant ownership.
Yup.
They're in creative industries.
Yup.
They're in jewelry.
We're
They're
West
in,
Coast Italians, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's-
yeah. And then
That's
I feel
what we
like
are,
the
yeah.
pinnacle of those things are the Jewish people. Like, the Jewish people are in everything.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
they've been able to thrive in an even. Do you
Yeah.
either? What do you?
No,
got?
I think I'm gonna double. I'm just gonna piggyback that. I think there's a lot of truth to that, but I think also going just off of the taking the thing and then making it better. I think Koreans, for some reason, have this very obsessive ability to study something, to
To the
literally
T.
dissect why is
Yes.
this thing good.
Yes. Yeah.
And like not in a way where it's always like, oh, let me dissect it so I can make it better. It's because you're studying it so much and you know the science of like how this was built, why is this appealing, and then it just by nature of just obsessing over it, and then they're adding to it, and then it just becomes its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Even with like dance, right? When the Korean scene like started entering like the breaking scene, like the b-boy culture.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole documentary on this, and they talk about like you got like American Koreans. I mean, hip hop culture started here in the U.S., right? But once it went to Asia, and you got b-boys from like New York and L.A., they're like, but those Koreans. And they talk about because Koreans started doing like the crazy power moves and stuff like that, and that was not what was going on over here in the U.S., which is where hip hop started. You know what I mean? So they just took it and they studied this culture, and they, whether that's adding like martial arts type of discipline or military type discipline, but the discipline of like really practicing and studying a craft is just. Korea's just they got that, but it probably comes from that fight. We just gotta make ourselves strong. You know what I'm saying? And then now, with like K-pop music, they studied pop culture music and everything here.
They cracked the code on it. Yeah.
So K-pop, just real quick, I know we're going long on this, but K-pop, just look at the study of K-pop. That's emulation as well. You know what they emulated? They emulated Motown.
Wow.
They put everybody in a room and made Motown. And Motown killed it.
Yeah.
They took that same model and they will build children up into K-pop artists. It's
Wow.
Motown.
They literally
that's
have
crazy.
like K-pop farms, bro. Meaning
Schools,
like they
it's a school, like-
train up.
Don't call it a farm, bro.
They
That's
scout
not
you.
No, it-
Send you like
But
an elementary
yeah,
school.
I've
Like,
heard in the
man,
Asian
recruit
community
you.
too, like gymnastics is that
No,
way.
let me
Stuff
tell you.
like
I'm
that.
talking about
They got
K-pop.
K-pop
No,
schools.
They will recruit you
Yeah,
from
100%.
like first grade.
Yeah, it's true.
They train you
and
up.
they train you for
Yeah.
like 10 years.
Yeah,
So you're talking
it's
about
true.
like Blackpink, BTS.
There's
They
hope
were-
for your kids in the future, Jermaine.
They were training from like
Puerto Rican
elementary,
K-pop star.
Yeah.
and they
Hey.
get revealed in college
Exactly.
years.
Wow.
So that's why they're just
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
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 Do you have a final thought on it, Will?
we're just racist.
Okay, bleep that last part out. Bleep that last part out. He's speaking for
No,
himself.
honestly, I can say a lot, but what y'all saying? What y'all want to say?
On the money.
I'm gonna say, hey, what church? What church does he pastor, guys?
Shout out to Beloved Church, my fam.
One thing I will say to that though, like just to reframe that.
Hold up, that was a joke. I'm just letting you know someone out there just in case.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Ben's doubling down on this.
The ounce of truth part to it though is what we were saying. Like Koreans are really prideful. Like it's just like Korean pride for everything, bro.
there
We're
is.
just like, man, we're the best.
There
You know,
is.
but not in a way where it's like, and everyone else is, you know, bad.
less,
It's just like we're so about our business that like we
You
just
rock
like,
with your heritage.
yeah.
we
Korean
do.
pride is a real.
I'll just say this
Right.
because we're there, and then we'll end it. Any people that have generations of oppression, what most people don't know is Korea as peninsula, we've been conquered for centuries
times.
upon centuries upon centuries. Mongolians, China, Japan, communism. And so what happens is, and just like any people in America who've been oppressed for centuries, the men over time have something to prove.
Right.
The men have
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
a collective trauma that says we need to change the narrative, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's even a word called Han in Korean,
Yeah.
which is the word for like collective suffering.
Oh, wow.
That we as a people are a sorrowful people. So even if you watch Korean culture, Korean drama is just sorrow.
Oh yeah.
Is even the love stories
Yeah.
are sorrow.
Yeah.
the business stories are about sorrow and conquering. So I think over the past several decades, there's just been I don't know. That's something I want to add on to that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's legit.
That's
Anyways.
dope. Well, to my 3 chingus in the house, thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely got to run it back, do a part 2.
Yes,
Yeah, man.
Because
This is
this
so
was
fun, dude.
This,
This is so
this was a
fun.
blast. Thank you for making the
Yeah.
journey and the
course.
time, and
Yeah.
excited for you guys' new year. It's gonna be great things
Yeah,
for y'all.
yeah.
Yeah.
And always appreciate Will coming on with me,
Yeah,
holding
yeah.
it down and bringing his friends. Man,
We
it's
in
dope.
this,
Thank you
Yeah,
guys.
I just want to say one thing, man. Just
Say it.
thank you for just doing what you're doing, bro. And I'm super
Yes.
inspired
Amen.
just
Thank you.
walking through here and just seeing the setup and like outside of the front facing of what it looks. I think what you guys are doing and the intention and what is being said. That is the stuff that is
Yeah.
important, and so like whether that's a good service or beyond the letter,
Yeah.
like it's just we need more of stuff like this. So I
Yeah.
just want
Thank you, bro.
to give y'all your flowers.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all being here. Now we go do a tour.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Walk
let's do
around
it.
the tour.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, peace.